You've heard the name Dracula, a name that summons images of cloaks, fangs, coffins, and moonlit terror. A monster from the misty hills of Transylvania, a vampire, a villain, a myth. Yes, that part of the story you know. But now, for the rest of this story. Long before Bram Stoker wrote the Gothic novel, there lived a man of blood and battle, born in the year 1431 in the region we now call Romania. His name was Vlad III, Prince of Wallachia. His enemies would call him Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, a title earned not from legend, but from grim, unrelenting fact. See, Vlad wasn't born into peace. His homeland sat in the volatile crossroads between Christian Europe and the ever-expanding Ottoman Empire. As a child, Vlad was handed over as a political hostage to the Turks. There, he learned their ways and their weaknesses. Years later, returned to a fragmented homeland he found it ravaged by corruption, crime, and invasion. He didn't inherit a kingdom, he had to build one, and build it he did. But not with treaties or words. No, Vlad ruled with fear. He punished the corrupt, quelled rebellions, and turned back foreign armies, not with parades and politics, but with sharpened stakes. It is said that when the Ottoman Sultan invaded with a force triple the size of Vlad's, he came upon a field of impaled soldiers, 20,000 strong. The stench, the sight, was so horrific, the Sultan turned back in horror. He was no diplomat. He was no gentle king. But to his people, he was Dracula, son of the dragon, a warrior prince, a fierce patriot. They say under his iron rule, you could leave a gold coin in the middle of the road and return to find it untouched. So why the tales of fangs and immortality? Perhaps because stories need villains, and history rarely favors the complex. Vlad was no monster, but he was no saint either. He defended his people in the only way he knew how, by becoming more terrifying than the threats that surrounded them. History often paints its heroes and villains in stark black and white, but truth lives in the gray between. Vlad the Impaler story reminds us that even the darkest chapters of history can whisper lessons of light. And here's something to think about. Vlad the Impaler's story is a chilling reminder of how far people will go to protect what they love, and how easily fear can twist even noble intentions. He fought darkness with darkness, terror with terror, and though his enemies tremble, peace born of fear is never peace at all. The Bible tells us God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. True strength doesn't come from ruling with an iron hand, but from living with a steadfast heart. Vlad's power came from fear, but God calls his children to lead with faith, to overcome evil not by matching its force, but by reflecting his light. Every generation faces its own battles, not against armies and empires, but against sin, pride, injustice, and despair. The temptation to fight darkness with darkness is still there, yet Christ showed us another way. When the world brought him violence, he answered with grace. When hatred struck, he overcame with love. Vlad's story reminds us that every heart holds both shadow and light, but only one can rule. The difference lies in surrender. When we yield to fear, darkness wins. But when we surrender to Christ, his light shines through us and drives the darkness away. So let this be a lesson. Fear may control people, but love transforms them. Power may silence enemies, but grace wins souls. Let's choose not the spirit of fear, but the Spirit of God, and let His light rule in us until every shadow is gone. And now that you know the rest of this story, you have a story to tell.